Well, the weekend has begun. So for today, we're going to be doing something different. Now, for some of you, you probably know I'm trying to catch up with New Japan's Fantastica Mania, whatever New Japan shows it got. So we're going to focus on day 5 and day 6, of course, from A to Z on this one. Now, of course, some will have amazing tag teams, but on day 6, of course, it features the CML World Historic Light Heavyweight title. Atlantis Jr. defends it against Averno. And then, of course, we have Máscara Dorada taking on Hechicero. So that's going to be a fun match. And then we move on with AEW Collision. As you know, they are on the road to Revolution, but a lot of things are taking place. For example, of course, the war between the Death Riders and the Don Callis family, which is on. And of course, Proto Kata has been born, in case anybody noticed, and plenty other things as well. And also for the added bonus, no news updates for today. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to the Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. In the world of pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information is unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us and click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough with the jibber jabbers. So let's get to it. So let's begin, of course, with day 6 with New Japan presents CML Fantastica Mania. Alright, day 5 of the collaboration between CML and New Japan Fantastica Mania. This happened, of course, on the 24th of February, and it was in Osaka at the Ideon Arena, Osaka number 2. So as you all know, this is the same venue that we've seen many promotions do their events. Now we opened up with singles action. We have Daiki Nagai of the Unbound taking on Stigma. Now, obviously, when you watch this match, you would awfully think that the match was going to go with Stigma, and that's exactly what happened. So Stigma picked up the win when he applied a frog splash, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Our next match, we have, of course, Masatora Yasuda and Hijo de Suka Jr. taking on Tiger Mask and what's his name? Oh yeah, Satoshi Kojima. Now, obviously, we all know how this would play out because we know the weakest link in this match is Yasuda, and that's always been the obvious thing because we know. Of course, Stuka is a capable wrestler, but when it comes to Yasuda, he is limited by his ability due to the fact that he's a young lion. But in the end, he ended up on a Tiger Suplex by Tiger Mask, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Next up, we have, of course, the House of Losers, Yonoshinobu Kanemaru, that talker with no brain, of course, Sho, and of course the Tokyo Pimp, more like the Tokyo Old Man, Yujiro Takahashi, taking on Shamakato, Master Wato, and Okumura. Obviously, for those who don't know, these three individuals, Wato, Shomakato, and Okumura, are in fact from Osaka. So you can say that these guys are Osaka natives, the hometown boys that would kick the butts of these losers. But of course, when it comes to the House of Losers, we all know their tactics. They often use weapons, distractions, whatever they have to do to, of course, win their match. And that's exactly what happened. But however, in the end, it was Sho who actually picked up the win by teaching, of course, Shimakato a lesson with the boxing crowd, and then just like that, he tapped out. But in the end, of course, as usual, of course, with the House of Torture tactics, well, they decided to beat him up to teach him a lesson even further. I'm sure when Shimakato comes back from his excursion, he's going to teach them a lesson. Now, our next match, we have the Unbound, consistent of Bone Soldier Jr., Shingo Takagi, Philip Malo Jr., and Titan taking on Tatsuya Matsumoto, Ryosuke Taguchi, El Desperado, and Futuro. Now, obviously, if you guys did not see what really happened with Taguchi, well, he got himself caught in the middle of the ropes again in his groin, and of course, he kept bouncing around all over. I thought it was way too much funny, but in the end, it was of course Titan with the Immortal onto him, and just like that onto Matsumoto, who obviously is the weakest link due to being a young lion. 1, 2, 3. Done. Next up, we have Soberano Jr., Hechicero, Ultimo Guerrero taking on Templario, Atlantis Jr., and Atlantis as well, of course. So basically, it was a pretty interesting matchup. Not to mention, Templario kind of was wearing the colors of Atlantis and Atlantis Jr., kind of being part of the team. It was a fantastic match, but however, Atlantis suffered, of course, in the hands of Hechicero the Alchemist, putting him in a submission, and just like that, he tapped out. Now, our main event, we have, of course, the finals of the Fantastica Mania tag team. We have, of course, Magnus and Averno taking on Máscara Dorada and Místico together along with Neon. They call themselves El Sky Team. They are, of course, 2/3 of the CML World Trios champions. And obviously, we all know that Magnus and Averno were definitely going to try to do dirty tricks to pick up the win. But in the end, it was Místico with La Mística onto Magnus, and that was completely over. He tapped out. But for what you guys don't know, Místico and Magnus, of course, I should put this out, they're in fact real life family. They're actually cousins. So there's no way Magnus could defeat, of course, someone like his own cousin. So that ends it right there. So that's pretty much what happened on this day. So let's move on to the next, of course, Fantastica Mania, which is day 6. So let's do it right now. Okay, day 6 of the collaboration with CML and New Japan Fantastica Mania. This happened on the 26th of February in Korakuen Hall. Now, we opened up with Tetsuya Matsumoto teaming up with 6 or 9, consisting of Master Wato and Ryosuke Taguchi. And they take on Masatora Yasuda and los Viajeros de Espacio, which means the travelers from space, consistent of Valiente Jr. and Futuro. Now, recently I did report that Valiente Jr. was injured, but it seems now that he's back, getting himself back on track. But the match was pretty good. But obviously, in this match, you can tell there's two weakest links in both sides. I mean, they both got young lions in the mix. But the real question is, which young lion was going to take the fall? Well, this one turned out to be, of course, Matsumoto, when he ended up on the wrong side of a springboard moonsault by Futuro, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Next up, we have singles action. We have Shomakato taking on Titan. Now, I'm not sure if this is one of those matches. As you all know, Shomakato will be making his way to, of course, to CML on his excursion. And facing Titan is a very interesting thing to see. But, of course, in the end, Titan picked up the win by a submission, and just like that, it was completely over. Next up, we have the House of Losers once again, Yoshinobu Kanemaru and of course Yujiro Takahashi. Sho was not involved in this match, in case anybody asks, but they had the Magnus to join. And many of you who may not have seen this, he dressed up. He had the gear of Black Tiger, and I'll explain a little bit about that. They face against Tiger Max and Cozy Max, consisting of Okumura and Satoshi Kojima. Now, for those who don't understand about the Black Tiger and Tiger Mask, let me explain that a little bit about the history for them. Tiger Mask was, of course, in story-wise, he used to work for the Yakuza until he turned his back on them and started doing things their way. However, the Yakuzas decided to build a brand new Tiger. Basically, they call him Black Tiger. Now, for what you guys don't know, every Tiger Mask has been a Japanese wrestler. And as for Black Tiger, well, they has often played out by mostly foreign wrestlers, and amongst them is, of course, well, is Eddie Guerrero and Rocky Romero and a few, and Silver King, of course. So there's been various wrestlers from various parts of the country that portray Black Tiger, except one who in fact was a Japanese wrestler, which kind of broke away the tradition of having a foreign wrestler to play Black Tiger. And that's kind of like the continuation of the story with Magnus as, of course, Black Tiger. And of course, he was targeting him no matter what, and that's exactly what he did when he removed his mask and put up a pinfall, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. So basically, they're continuing the story that Magnus is the new Black Tiger, and that he's going to be the one to defeat Black Tiger to ensure, Tiger Mask, to ensure that he retires defeated. Now, our next match we have, of course, we have the United Empire, Zane J. If you guys did not see this entire thing, Zane J was pissed that they were playing him the Young Lion theme, and he feels like he's no longer a Young Lion, that he's now part of the United Empire, and he teams up with Templario, but they face against Ultimo Guerrero and Hatsuratsu Guerrero. That's in fact Shingo Takagi. So yes, obviously you can tell that Haruratsu is a very strong, capable, powerful wrestler, even doing the whole thing like Ultimo Guerrero the entire time. But in the end, it was Hatsumaru who put Zane J in Made of Japan, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Now, our next match, we had an interesting, how do I say, makeshift six-man tag team match. We have Sho, Hijo de Stuka Jr., and who's Soberano Jr. They take on Stigma, Atlantis, and Mystico. So obviously we all know how that's going to play. I mean, when it comes to Soberano and Sho, well, we know that they have a bad attitude, how they do. But in the end, it was Atlantis who picked up the win by applying a submission onto Stuka, and just like that, it was completely over. Next up is our only championship match in here, the CML World Historic Light Heavyweight title. Atlantis Jr. defends it against Averno. Now, this whole thing happened a while back when this tour started. Averno was criticizing Atlantis Jr. for being a young wrestler, calling him a kid, that he does not live up to the reputation as wrestlers like himself or his father. And of course, Atlantis was not going to take that kindly for a guy like him who doesn't see him that he is just capable as well. But of course, Averno, who's been a well standout veteran in the Lucha Libre scene, well, he was able to pick up the win by submission, and just like that, Atlantis Jr. tapped out and it was over. Brand new champion. Now, our next match, we have the Alchemist, Hechicero, taking on Mascara Dorada. For of course, we all know that Hechicero will do whatever it takes to put Mascara Dorada in a submission move, and that's exactly what he tried, but unfortunately it did not work because Mascara Dorada applied a running springboard shooting star press, almost similar to what Commander does, but it was effective, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. So it was a pretty good show. I enjoyed it. So we will continue with more of the Fantastica Mania, and possibly we will do the New Beginning USA soon, and we'll leave things as it is. But as of right now, let's move on with our last review, and that is AEW Collision. Alright, as we continue on, let's move on with our last review, AEW Collision. We opened up, of course, with MJF throwing out a promo, pissed off knowing too well that he is in a disadvantage being involved in a death match. Going on complaining, I'm not a death matcher, I'm a professional wrestler. But of course, he got interrupted by one of Hangman's teammates, of course, of Jet Set Rodeo, the Jet, Kevin Knight. So basically, basically he's looking for some competition. So there's going to be a title match this coming Wednesday involving MJF and Kevin Knight. So we'll see how that rolls up. Now, Jay Lethal has been set on a match to face off someone from his past. And many of you know him. We just saw him who made his debut not too long ago, and that is, of course, Tommaso Ciampa. If you guys have not been following wrestling history, well, it turns out that these two guys are, in fact, have some history dating back to Ring of Honor. So obviously, you can tell this is going to be some unfinished business between the two of them. Now, our next match, we have the Death Riders, consistent of Wheeler Yuta, Daniel Garcia, Pac, and Claudio Castagnoli taking on the Don Callis family members, specifically RPG Vice, which consisted of Rocky Romero and Trent Beretta, Lance Archer, and Josh Alexander. Now, as you all know, the war between the Death Riders and the Don Callis family started back when, of course, Don Callis decided to get a little revenge on Jon Moxley and for what he did to him a couple of years ago, if you guys haven't forgotten. But, of course, Don Callis was not involved because he still clears from the match. But you would have assumed that Don Callis would have picked up the victory, but no. In the end, in some moments, we did see Marina Shafir get involved, but she was able to get away unscathed by Lance Archer. And of course, Archer would love nothing more than put her on the blackout. But in the end, it was Wheeler Yuta with the Busaiku knee onto Rocky Romero. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. And post-match, we saw Konosuke Takeshita showed up. As you know, this war between both him and Jon Moxley continues to rage on. And this will continue on until Revolution. So all hell broke loose. Now, our next match, we have Tommaso Ciampa versus Jay Lethal, of course, as the match we saw. But of course, Jay Lethal didn't come alone. He had Tweedledee and Tweedledum by his corner. If you guys don't know what I'm referring to, I'm talking about Lee Johnson and Christian Blake, of course, Blake Christian, of course, being there by the side. And of course, we all know what exactly was going to happen. They were trying to get involved, but oops, Tommaso Ciampa actually took care of business. And then he take out Jay Lethal with the knee strike. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, adios. Now, as you may have known, the Inspiration made their debut in an AEW house show in Australia, more specifically in Brisbane. And now it seems that they're making their debut, of course, in AEW Dynamite this Wednesday. However, their first challenge is against, of course, the Brawling Birds. So, as I mentioned, as you know, the Brawling Birds have one thing in goal in mind, and that is the AEW Women's World Tag Team belts. And this is what I explained to all of you. Some of you may think that AEW made a mistake having the Inspiration, but I would think that they brought them because they need their unique tag team style in order to make the women's tag team division even stronger. And this is where they're going to start out. A brawl between the Brawling Birds and, of course, the Inspiration. And that's going to happen on Wednesday. And I can't wait to see how that turns up. Now, the Brawling Birds, of course, they took on a couple of ladies named Gypsy Mac and Tyra Rusmain. Hopefully I pronounced it right. But, of course, like any other match, the Brawling Birds walked away unscathed when they applied the 2 birds, 1 stone on Gypsy. And it was Wenzar who, in fact, picked up the pinfall. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, Brawling Birds picked up the win. Now, we just witnessed the birth of Proto-Kata, consistent of the Protostar, Kyle Fletcher, and the Rainmaker, Kaguchika Okada. And they take on Top Flight. Now, Top Flight, we all know, they're very talented, they're very agile, very athletic of what they can do, especially their high-flying capability. But unfortunately, that was not enough until, of course, Okada gave Darius the Rainmaker, and then, of course, Kyle Fletcher applied the sheer brainbuster that he's been using. And then, of course, they posted out a post-match promo announcing the Proto-Kata has been born. However, Jet Speed decided to make a decided to show up and decided to say that that you just barely started. And of course, they decided to call each other bitch back and forth. But of course, they decided to put the trios titles on the line. But the real question is who's going to join. But if I was Don Callis, don't be stupid, Don. Don't put Takeshita in the mix because it's going to lead into problems. I mean, you talk about getting gold, but if you decide to put put the Alpha in the mix, well, that's going to be a problem. But let's see how stupid, of course, Don Callis could be. Now, Hook, as you know, put out a video promo recruiting people, but Anthony Bowens wants to join due to the fact that they're friends and all. But Hook, despite of their friendship, told them that we're all business. Joe, Shibata, myself, we're killers. You're not. So I don't know exactly what Bowens is going to do. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what he's going to do. But we'll see. Now, we have the Sisters of Sins, Julia Hart and Sky Blue, also members of the Triangle of Madness, taking on Chris Statlander and Thunder Rosa. Now, Chris Statlander, as you know, is trying to warn Thunder Rosa that Tekla is not your typical female wrestler you think you know. You may be tough, but Tekla is completely different. But Thunder Rosa is being a bit oblivious, like thinking there's no way she could beat her. But of course, in the end, it was Thunder Rosa with the Tijuana bomb onto Julia Hart, and just like that, it was over. But Tekla decided to tell Thunder Rosa in some capacity, saying, you should listen to Chris Statlander because I made her cry. I mean, Chris Statlander never cried for anything, but yes, that's exactly what was happening. But we'll see what happens in the end. Now, our main event, we have Andrade El Idolo taking on the Stone Pitbull Tomohiro Ishii. So you can tell this is going to be a slobber knocker of a match. Not to mention Ishii is a tough SOB. But in the end, it was Andrade with the DM that ended the whole thing. And just like that, 1, 2, 3 is over. But in post-match, we did see Bandito show up because apparently he made the decision that he wants Andrade at Revolution. So it seems it's been decided. So I can't wait to see that. So that's pretty much what happened on AEW Collision. We'll see what happens on Dynamite as we're on the road to Revolution. But as of right now, we're done. We have no news updates for today. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, I haven't decided yet, but I am going to be, of course, continuing with more of New Japan. I do know there is maybe 1 or 2 more Fantastica Manias and possibly the New Beginning USA, the New Japan put out recently. I have decided. I know there's some Stardom shows that just recently came out. I may do that by itself, but I'm not 100% sure just yet until I make that decision clear to myself. But we'll just wait and see. We'll leave things as it is, and we'll see how things would go. Stay tuned for more other stuff. If I do have any news updates that I might do separately, I'll put that out. Any updates alert and whatever, I don't know. We'll see. So until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.